and welcome to Truth Trial, a show where you get to hear both sides of the issue and you get to form your own opinion. No brainwash, no bias, no rhetoric, just the truth. I'm Brooke Solis, and you're watching Truth Trial.
I think for our friends who were visiting by way of television, it made economics kind of sexy and exciting for them.
That is, American poverty is now the worst in more than 50 years.
The way to eliminate unemployment is to get a job.
Fix poverty very quickly, end all unemployment in less than 6 months. Just give me a chance.
This segment, we're taking a look at the economy from two dynamic debaters. Dr. Ravi Batra is an economics professor at Southern Methodist University and the author of 5 international bestsellers, End Unemployment Now and The New Golden Age. The Associated Press says Ravi Batra was used to making tumultuous global forecasts and having nobody listen. Then, predictions started to come true. Dr. W. Neil Gallagher, a former professor with a PhD from Brown University, is a writer and speaker at many Fortune 500 companies, a syndicated radio talk show host, and CEO of the Gallagher Financial Group Incorporated. He is author of more than 70 articles and publications. Dr. Ken Cooper, MD, founder of Cooper Aerobics, said, listen to Dr. Gallagher. He knows what he's talking about.
Hello and welcome to Truth Trial, where we put important issues of the day on trial so you can decide the truth. Does it seem harder to wade through all that spin to figure out the truth? You've heard of the court of public opinion? Well, this is it. Our question tonight is, how do we fix the U.S. economy? So please welcome Dr. Neil Gallagher, who has authored 4 books, including The Money Doctor's Guide to Taking Care of Yourself When No One Else Will. And then we also have Dr. Ravi Batra, and he's an economist professor and author of the New York Times bestseller, The New Golden Age. So you will be able to go first, and we will hear 2 minutes of opening remarks, followed by 2 minutes from Dr. Gallagher, and then we'll have them both do some follow-up questions. And now what we'll do is begin with Dr. Batra, and the debate begins because this is Truth Trial.
I wrote a book in 2006, The New Golden Age, The Coming Revolution Against Political Corruption and Economic Chaos. Now, the subtitle of the book tells you all that we were going to face economic chaos and after that a political revolution. Sadly enough, all the forecasts I made in that book have come true, and I had written that a great recession would start in 2007, and in one way or another it would go on till 2016. And then by that year, by 2016, there would be so much poverty in America that people would be fed up and they would demand change, and that's the year when a political revolution starts. That's where we are right now, and that's what is happening right before your eyes. Why was Mr. Trump nominated for the Republican presidency? Because he talked about ideas, new ideas. He talked about fixing the trade deficit. That's a new idea for this political cycle. Bernie Sanders became very popular because he talked about the concentration of wealth and increasing poverty. So it shows that revolution is on its way, and that's the message of my first book. So let's go on. I will tell you shortly how we can fix the economy very quickly.
Hey, listen, I'll tell you in 30 seconds how to fix the economy. You fix the economy. You want to eliminate poverty? Go out and feed people one at a time, and we'll show you how to do that. That's what I do, and that's what I inspire other people to do. You want to end unemployment? Get a job. There are millions of employers who want people to work with them, who are honest, who love the American dream, who want to work the American dream. Any viewpoint, whether it's by Ravi Batra, anyone else that suggests that policy from the government or from a corporation causes poverty or causes unemployment is dead wrong, and it's a product of sterile, ineffective, unproductive, and insulting academia, of which I was a part. I studied in the most liberal discipline in the most liberal university in this country, and I know that solving problems from the top does not work. People want freedom. They want dignity. They want choices. Martin Luther King spoke for all of us when he said, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. So we want to have freedom in choosing our vocations, in building our families, and not have any type of policy arrangement. Poverty does not cause crime. Individuals cause crime. And the way to stop unemployment is to get a job and help other people get a job. The way to stop poverty is to embrace one family at a time, and we'll talk more about that as we continue our discussion.
You're watching Truth Trial.
Well, free markets are what we really need. I don't believe that we need excessive government intervention. And free markets work through supply and demand. When markets are not free, then supply and demand don't work. And when they don't work, we have problems of poverty and unemployment. There is no disagreement from you in this matter.
Yeah.
But
one of the things you say in some of your books, Ravi, is that if we had some type of giant FDIC bank and that charged only 5%, that somehow would eliminate all credit card debt. That is absolutely false, because the $1 trillion in debt, which you correctly point out, is caused by people collapsing to just impulsive buying rather than practicing discipline. What I do in my profession is teach people how to plan and save for retirement so they can have a safe and profitable retirement. And the fact that some people may have only $500 in a savings account, which is true, by the way, is not the fault of corporations. It's not the fault of multinational banks. It's not the fault of government. It is the fault of individuals who refuse to practice disciplined spending.
Let me answer this question. Why this $1 trillion of credit card loan arise? It arose after the Great Recession that occurred in 2007.
False.
Let me finish my point at least. People did not have enough money to survive. Millions upon millions of people were laid off, and when they could not do anything else, first of all, they used up their 401ks. When that was done, then they started borrowing money to feed themselves. And when they borrowed money, of course, they borrowed them on credit cards because they did not have any other source of income. So this debt has come out of that reason. Now, the interesting part is the profit margin that the banks had prior to the Great Recession was just 4.5%. Now, after the people have borrowed so much money, their profit margin has jumped to 15%. This is not free market. This is monopoly capitalism. So if we want free market, the government has to create competition. Only competition for these banks. The government is not controlling the banks, only create competition for these banks. When the banks face competition, they would go back to their profit margin of just 5%, which they had in 2007.
You've erected a straw man. There are a whole lot more than just 5 multinational banks. There are a lot more banks, credit unions, brokerage firms, where people can get money at much more attractive rates. The problem for the poverty and the huge credit card debt, this is anecdotal, but I challenge you, my friend, to stand outside or sit in your car out of any 7-Eleven or any convenience store, any grocery store, and you'll see people coming out loaded down with fat-saturated bags of potato chips, sugar-loaded bottles of drinks, and pockets loaded with lottery tickets, because they're making enough money, but they're not practicing disciplined spending. They're giving in to impulsive spending. That's the reason they're not saving. And that's my passion. In America, the goal of being able to have a rich and robust retirement is available to everyone if they practice this. Get rid of the credit card, get a debit card. And if your car's not working, Ravi points out in one of his books, what if your car's not working? You need $500. Fix your car. If you don't know how to fix it, get somebody to help you to fix it. That's what I did. I grew up on welfare. I didn't have money to fix my car. I walked. I took a bus. I took a bike. My point is, people want to practice with integrity and freedom and solve their own problems. They can't blame it on so-called multinational banks. In order for the free market economy to work, people cannot abuse their freedom as many people are doing.
Let's look at what's happening in the streets. Why is Mr. Trump so popular? People are dirt poor. They don't have the wages. $7.50 is the minimum wage. In Los Angeles, an apartment costs $1,500 a month. Who is going to live on this wage?
Ravi, there are 6.5 billion people in the world that would love to be here tonight and working in Los Angeles.
That's the whole problem.
$7.5
You want Americans to live like the dirt poor people in the rest of the world. That's called free market. That's called foolish economics.
You can tell the greatness of the country, Ravi, by the number of people who want to get in as opposed to those who want to get out. There are billions who want to get in. You and I are blessed. We won the American lottery. Only 1 out of 32 people in the world live in America, where everybody wants to live, where the streets are still paved with gold.
That's what I say.
Wonderful. You guys, I'm going to have to break you up, and I feel bad about it. You guys are doing a great job. But we have to go to a break, and then we'll come back to do some closing arguments from both. Well, welcome back to Truth Trial. We will now continue with our closing arguments, starting with Dr. Batra, an economist, professor, and author of the New York Times bestseller, The New Golden Age. Doctor?
Whenever I write a book, I put my theories on the line. I make long-term, short-term, and long-term forecasts. So I wrote this book, The New Golden Age, sometime in 2006, and I made at least 10 different forecasts, which were all denounced at that time. I wrote that, this is in 2006, I wrote that a very great, big recession would start in 2007, and in one way or another will keep on going. But oil prices will stay very high, and will stay high until at least 2011 or 12, then they would collapse. That has happened right before your eyes. I also wrote, people will blame this recession on housing crisis, on banking crisis, but that won't be the cause. The cause is free markets are not working, supply is constantly ahead of demand, and therefore the government has to do something to create competition, to create free markets in the economy, and so on. Now, Neil says that 6 billion people on earth want to come to America to have the American dream. Does that mean the American economy is great? No, it means the other places are far worse. That's why they come here. And why are the other places so bad? Whatever is the cause of unemployment and poverty here is also occurring elsewhere. Now, I remember somebody like Neil's, who believes in Neil's arguments, Neil's ideas, said in 2008, if you're starving, go work for McDonald's. They will give you a job, also food. Now, it turned out that McDonald's had just fired 5,000 people. They were firing people too because people there was not enough money to buy goods and services. They were being laid off. And so when there's not enough consumer demand, when the wages are so low, how can the economy prosper? You have to have consumer demand for the producers to produce goods and services and hire people. This is as simple as that, Neil.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Batra. Wonderful. And now we'll hear closing arguments from Dr. Neil Gallagher, who has authored 4 books, including The Money Doctor's Guide to Taking Care of Yourself When No One Else Will. Doctor?
Well, there's always Whataburger and Chick-fil-A and Walmart and Steinmart where they could have gone to get a job because jobs are plentiful. The way to eliminate poverty is to go out and help people one at a time. Ravi, here's a picture of my wife and Matthew Nicholas Gallagher. We went to Bombay to that orphanage to rescue that child. Have you personally ever gone to an orphanage to rescue a child?
Oh, I have done lots of things.
Have you actually adopted? No, wait, it's my turn. It's my turn. Have you ever adopted one and brought one home?
Yes or no?
Have you adopted one and brought one home and fed them? and kept them?
Yes.
You have?
I have.
Let me see a picture.
Huh? What?
Let me see a picture.
So you came back with the picture.
Yeah.
I did not think that you would ask me this question. I would have brought
Okay,
the
tell me
So
about
what I want to do in the midst of this, Dr. Gallagher,
Okay.
is give you a chance to finish up your closing arguments. Because this isn't the point of the show where we
Okay.
do this. This is the time where you get to close your arguments.
You have adopted children.
not
from
adopted,
orphanage.
but I have-
okay.
I have
yes
raised-
or no?
I have raised
That's the
children.
answer. Okay. Secondly, once a week I go to downtown Fort Worth, Beautiful Feet Ministries. I minister to the homeless. I find them jobs, soup, soap, and salvation. Do you go into downtown Dallas? See, you live where I used to live in the rarefied atmosphere of academia, where it's all theories. I lived on welfare. I know what it's like to build a business. You've never done that. You only have the
I have
rarefied.
done all these things
You
you
just
said. With
you
your
just
surprise,
deal.
I have done all
you
these
just
things.
deal in theories. People don't care about the supply and demand garbage. They want to know, how do I build a secure retirement? How do I feed my family? How do I send my kids to college? How do I build dignity and freedom in my kids? And academic, economic, ethereal theories don't answer that.
Well, you don't know me at all. There was a great big tornado that struck Wichita Falls a few years ago. I personally went there, cleaned up people's
Good.
homes, picked up their...
Good.
I have done lots of things. People don't know about me. I'm not purely an academician. I've done a
Good.
lot of
Thank you
things.
very much. Like, and you and I agree that the answer to poverty is personal involvement in people's lives. Now, sometimes some of your colleagues will say, well, that's only one at a time. That doesn't really help people. It's kind of like the story of the guy walking along the beach and these drying starfish on the beach. And he takes one and he throws it back.
You just
and the
talked
kid,
about-
let me finish. The kid says, sir, what good does it do? There's still thousands of starfish out here. He picks up another one, throws it out, and says, it makes a lot of difference to that one. So one at a time, that's how we cure unemployment. That's how we cure poverty. One at a time, not depending on government policies, not blaming so-called multinational banks. It's one at a time, getting your hands in, soup, soap, and salvation, one at a time.
Well, you just talked about Walmart. It so happens in the month of August, they announced they're going to lay off 10,000 people.
I just use that as an example.
So that's exactly. So
take your pick where you want to go to work. Those 6 billion people would love to be in America.
That's what I
Some
said.
people think they kind of have an elitist attitude that flipping hamburgers at Whataburger is demeaning. Most people in the world would call that opportunity. When I hitchhiked around the world after my service in leper colonies in Thailand, no matter where I went, I had the USA flag on my back. Whether it was in India, Pakistan, or in the Philippines, people come up to me and see that on my back and say, hey, mister, can you help me get to where? America, where the streets are still paved with gold because we have freedom and we don't blame institutions or blame policies. We have to take responsibility for our spending, have to take responsibility and not defer it to any institution or any economist. I was there. I saw it done. You can do it too. Take responsibility for your spending. The greatest compliment anyone can give you is to be responsible for your own actions.
I think you're totally...
That's actually all the time we have, gentlemen.
All right.
That was great. Thank you very much
Okay.
for that. And now it's time for you, the audience, to get involved. I want you to jump online and go to truthtrial.com or text the number on your screen and vote for who you think is right. I'm Marcus Lloyd, and I want to thank you again for watching. And I want you to join us.
I want to invite Dr. Ravi to have lunch with me at India Palace.
India Palace?
Okay.
As you guys make your lunch, you mind if I finish my clothes? Okay. All right. I'm Marcus Lloyd. Thank you again for watching, and join us next time for more truths from the court of public opinion. That is this right here, Truth Trial.
You've been watching Truth Trial. And when we left off, Dr. Batra and Dr. Gallagher were firing back and forth on how to get the U.S. economy going. Let's take a look at the closing gems from these two debaters.
No disrespect to him, but I thought that he was talking very loudly. And it reminds me of a saying, they say, well, if an attorney doesn't have arguments, he shouts in the court. And that's kind of thing that reminded me. Again, I said, no discourtesy to him, but he was talking very loudly. And then he was saying, America is great because 6 billion people would come here and would want to work for McDonald's and Walmart and so on. Well, that's the problem we have. We are creating jobs which pay wages like that of McDonald's and Walmart. That's the real problem.
Right.
That's the poverty. That's what that reflects poverty. Doesn't mean it's great to have that poverty in America. We want to do away with it. And for that, I think the government has a big role to play, not in creating debt.
Right.
See, the government has added $10 trillion of debt to the American federal government. In addition, the Federal Reserve has spent $4 trillion of lending money to the banks. What the banks are doing, they are not bothered that these banks are charging 15-20% interest rates from the poor.
Right.
And the banks are simply using the money to speculate in oil. That's why oil prices are so high. Speculate in gold. They're not lending money. They're not helping the economy. Banks are parasites now. And that's what we have to address to fix the economy. Not to say, well, Walmart, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A and all that, they are creating great jobs. How much can you eat?
So I don't get involved in ethereal theories about economics. I do have a PhD, but I've been where Dr. Batra has been. I know what it's like to be seated behind a professorial chair and pontificate about how to solve the problems of the world. But as I pointed out, you solve the problems one at a time, particularly in America. The way to eliminate unemployment is to get a job and to help other people get a job. Yeah, may not be the ideal job, but I worked a lot of part-time jobs. Heck, I cleaned toilets working my way through college. No matter what you have to do, you do it if it's legal and moral. And the way to end poverty is to get involved directly.
Look at the banking industry. There are 5 major banks, and each one knows what the other bank is charging on credit card loans.
Right.
And what they charge from the poor and the middle class, 15 to 20% interest rate on those loans. And unfortunately, the poor and the middle class are the borrowers. The rich people don't borrow money, it's they who borrow money, and they are paying 15 to 20% on any money they have borrowed. At the same time, these same banks are getting money nearly free at 0% interest rate from the Federal Reserve.
Right.
And you ask why?
Yeah.
Why they're charging 15%, 20% from the poor people?
Why are they?
Because there's no competition.
I know.
They have no competition. Now, Bernie Sanders had the bright idea. He said, let's break up these banks, create competition among them. If there is a large number of these banks, they would not be able to charge such high interest rates.
Right.
But of course, Congress would not allow that, right? Congress is beholden to these banks. So what I have suggested is the president should use an existing law, not a new law. We don't need new laws. That's where Congress comes in. There is a law that was passed in 1987, the year of the biggest stock market crash. So Congress
Right.
passed a law
Right.
which allows the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, to start its own bank and keep it open for up to 3 years. Okay?
Okay.
The FDIC works for the president. So the president can tell the FDIC, hey, start your own bank. This bank can also borrow money at 0% interest rate from the Federal Reserve and just charge 5% on credit card loans.
You create this giant FDIC bank, which would charge only 5%, and let people take their $1.1 trillion in credit card debt to the bank and be charged only 5%. Guess what? Within a year, those people will still be $1.1 trillion in debt because they have collapsed to the culture of consumerism and not practiced delayed gratification, not saved, not invested, because they just give in to impulsive spending.
Go to truthtrial.com or text the number on your screen to vote for the winner of the debate.
We'll be right back after these messages.
That's all the time we have. Go to truthtrial.com or text the number on your screen to vote for the winner of the debate. Tune in next time for the results of the poll and for the next episode of Truth Trial. Got a great show idea for Truth Trial? We want your ideas. Submit your show ideas or tell us about your expertise on an important topic. We are on the lookout for credible, informed, and dynamic guests. Contact us now at www.truthtrialguestinfo.com. Join us at www.truthtrial.com every week to examine high-impact issues that affect your life. Do you know the facts? The real facts. Watch extended versions of our previous and current debates. Get an in-depth understanding, with both sides presented, of issues that directly impact you. Watch these one-on-one interviews up close with our hosts. You can also watch full shows of Truth Trial on our website anytime and cast your vote for the winner.